Hello everyone and welcome back to the FinTech Times. We're here at day 2 of the MoneyLIVE Summit at the Queen Elizabeth Centre in London. And right now I'm joined by Anil. Anil, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Yes, enjoying day 2 of the summit, and it's been very busy indeed. But I had the opportunity to speak to lots of industry experts, so it's been great.
It's amazing, yeah.
Yeah. So before we go on, we should probably let our viewers know a little bit more about you and about where you've come from. So why don't you introduce yourself?
So hi everybody, this is Anil Awasthi. I'm a senior client partner at Globant. Globant is a leading digital native organizations with 25,000 Globers worldwide. We are founded in Argentina. At UK we are based out of Victoria Street and listed in NASDAQ. It's a pretty vibrant company to be in, and that's about me. And I carry a lot of financial services background, which helps adding value to our customers.
That's really interesting. And Victoria Street is just
down from 5 minutes from here.
Just down here, isn't it?
Yes,
So,
yes, it's an interesting place. Yeah.
we're in Anil's neighbourhood now. So yeah, I mean, let's just jump straight into it then. I mean, this event of course is looking at everything to do with fintech, how fintech has changed in the last 5 years, where it currently sits, and where it's going to be going in the next 5 years. So I think it's really important that we discuss fintech through the lens of the pandemic, only because it's been so influential on its direction and flow. In your own words, as somebody who has watched the industry and worked with the industry during this time, how have you seen the pandemic accelerate payment innovation?
Honestly, I think the payment was one of the most important things which had to work absolutely flawless during the pandemic, and like always, during pandemic, the need has become to remain contactless, even physically for the humans. The payment has seen the surged in to be more contactless and invisible. So one thing which has happened nicely is that the digitization drive which picked across all the customer journeys has also come into mainstream payments, which means, a couple of examples you will see, the the cards which we tap into the stores, the value has gone up to 100 quid, which used to be 45 or 35, and you see there's a drive towards having more contactless payments happening. The retail stores have kind of gone ahead and revamped their terminals to give more payment options to the people, and reduce possibilities of cash to the minimum as possible. So that's from a consumer standpoint perspective. What we have also seen on the bigger spectrum is the cryptos, which were the hype circle, come to the mainstream acceptance, like CBDCs, digital currencies, which are even Bank of England and every central banks in different geographies started accepting that, has picked up a great acceptance at that level, and now we would see the future of cryptos and CBDCs, digital currencies, coming up. The third thing, during this, while the cash has gone down, what was also observed is people are still reluctant to let go of the cash. They keep it as the value, the tangible value. While the transactions don't happen in the cash, it's more of a store value which people are still keeping it with them. But technically, from daily life, we have seen the drive towards the cashless has become fast-tracked. Payment has become invisible completely, so it's more embedded in nature, and more innovations happening more and more in that being seen. And one of them I think we will see, interestingly, is buy now pay later, which was pre-pandemic was one of the innovation in payment, but now it has come mainstream. And I think the industry report says now 26% of payments are having BNPL, buy now pay later, introduced into mainstream, and we see more and more happening of that side. So buy now pay later, more contactless, CBDCs, and we're seeing still people holding on to the cash, but that's kind of thing a mindset which need to kind of change. That's how I think pandemic has shifted quite a bit on payments.
Well, that's a very, very comprehensive answer, and I completely agree with everything that you've said in terms of like CBDCs and crypto, and that it's come very, very far, and it's got a promising future ahead of it, and I think you're right on the money with that. I think what I'm very interested in is you mentioned the rise of buy now, pay later, which nobody can argue that it's on the up, you know. But from the data that I've been looking at, we've seen buy now, pay later models, payment models, and lending models really sort of start to replace traditional credit cards, and in some facets, like if you look at different demographics of younger demographics especially. In light of this, I'm just very curious to know how the more incumbent traditional players of the market can compete in the digital race. What's your view on that?
I mean, to be very what we see in the market, I think the traditional players, what we call incumbent banks or the large banks, they have come long way in this pandemic times. What could have taken 10 years has been done in 2 years. So I think it's a lot of journey they have moved forward, and the success is like having your account opened completely online is a big success for the banks. Like, can I do in 5 minutes? Now, is that the job done? Possibly no, because if you look at the Monzos of the world or Revolut of the world, they take less than 10 clicks to open an account.
Yes.
Now, if you look at some of the incumbent banks, they're still in double digits of maybe 50 plus clicks, but still they have shortened. But the point to note is the huge drive towards digitization has happened on the incumbent banks, which is open an account all real time, able to help you to deposit your check on your mobile phone, which was 100% on the branch driven activity, which is a big step towards digitization, ability to advise you over the phone, video calls, chat. The customer engagement channel started shifting towards digital engagement, is a big shift for traditional banks, which is very natural from customer servicing for challenger banks. So I think these are some of the things which has happened. Even the wealth segment, they were able to kind of advise people digitally, because completely it was a person-to-person touch-driven channel. So I think they have come a long way. Fast track, as I said, the 10 years of journey has been packed into 2 years, but I think it's a solid base and long way to go forward in the industry for them as well.
Yes, you're, you know, the way you describe it as they've really picked themselves up, these incumbent banks. I mean, I remember the days when you had to go to the actual bank branch and fill out sort of one of those paying in forms for a check and then wait like 5 days for it to come through. Whereas now you can just use like mobile apps.
Yeah.
You know, the bank that I'm with has a superb mobile app.
Just scan it and just deposit it. Yeah,
And
it's fabulous.
It is. It really is. And I think it's really helped to identify the underlying strengths of these incumbent players. We've discussed this sort of race to digital, but there is also another race happening in fintech at the moment, and that is the race towards sustainability and especially environmental and social governance in finance. What will be the role of both, you know, the big banks and the smaller fintechs in adhering to those challenges?
I think the sustainability drive, I think each one of us have a role to play, and bank being at the center of you know, dealing with finances, have even larger responsibility there, and they can influence it, and they can also drive the change big way. And that's just to take a couple of examples, right? I mean, journey begins at home, so bank themselves start reducing the carbon footprint by the way you know, their internal consumptions of things are. Yesterday somebody made a very good point, not only to the bank but for the corporates. The hybrid model of working itself is a big contribution. It's a simple change, but you don't make people travel.
Yeah.
Is a change. But coming back to the banks, what do they do? The finance which they hold and the funding which they make to the corporates, they have a role to play to influence that the funds are being utilized for the greener initiatives. So they are at the start of the chain to influence the way the new business models emerge. Banks can also drive towards education, creating more awareness. And third, which is very important, is all of their products, whether it's lending, whether it's mortgages, whether it's SME lending, whether it's any kind of lending what they're doing, or they're doing the wealth products, they all can incorporate the green principles. In some of the countries in Nordics are well ahead of it. So if I summarize it, I mean, banks are like a central nerve. They can completely influence the entire function of economy and really push towards going green. And I think each of the banks, and we have seen that the big investment getting committed by banks in sizable investment like $1 trillion by likes of HSBC, which shows that there is a commitment and drive to drive the change. Yeah.
Well, that's a very, very good thing to highlight. And I think, as my final question to you, Anil, you know, we see sustainability becoming quite an important topic in fintech and especially banking, digital banking, but more so towards the younger demographic, towards Gen Z and millennials. How are we going to see the increased participation of this demographic change the landscape of digital banking and banking in general? I mean,
Gen Z is driving the goalpost forward. So the moment we solve the problem where we are in terms of the way they consume banking products, we see there's a metaverse, which is a big trend which has picked up. The way they will experience the new world altogether in coming years, while the mobile first is great, while seamless experience is great, while the payment need to be invisible, while finance need to be embedded. But trends like metaverse, which is much more real, along with the NFTs and crypto, we will see, and we're seeing that Web 3.0. So entire new generation or the new way of doing things is ahead of us, and we would see the change in the industry and the new value propositions evolving, adopting to the AI, Web 3.0 and metaverse, which is basically the younger generation which is going to live into the future. So that's how I see that as things move forward.
Yeah, definitely. The metaverse is so exciting and also quite mysterious as well. So
yes,
we'll have to see how that plays out in financial services. But Anil, thank you very much for joining me here
Thank
today.
you so much for having me here.
And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day 2 of the summit.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.